should be live.
Okay.
Any second now. Yep, we're live.
All right.
All right, cool. So, welcome to the Four Words or Less podcast. 4 words or less podcast. I don't know if it's 4 words or less or 4 words or less. You know, like forwards or backwards. I don't know what the hell this thing is anymore. But
Who does? Really?
yeah.
Nice.
Who does? I think that's the point. So sorry we missed last week. Had a lot going on.
Yeah.
Craziness. Boo.
Yes.
Brouhaha. All that
Some real
jazz.
craziness, and we even tried to reschedule. So sorry we couldn't make it, y'all. But
Yeah. That's
life gets in the way.
Yep. So we'll try and be somewhat consistent for our own sake. We don't really care much about you. Just kidding.
No.
So yeah, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna try and do this on a pretty regular schedule around this time on Tuesdays. And like we said, we'll try to be pretty consistent with that. So without further ado, like, share, subscribe, like for real, share a link to this channel with at least one person you know. I'll wait.
Don't wait too long, man. No one likes us that much.
You think they've had enough time to share? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Plenty of time. Let's go.
All right. Cool. So what you got, bud?
Let's see.
By the way, I'm Sam.
And I'm Justin.
There you go. I'm on the right. He's on the left. Red guy, glasses. You know, that's him. And
The handsome one.
And I'm the ugly mugly that likes to cover up his blue face with beard, I guess.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. So let's see. I don't remember what your topic for this week was, but I know mine was drinking.
Sure.
So
I don't think I really
you want to
had
start
much.
there?
Other than 4th of July weekend, I had some shenanigans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to share before we dive into the topic then?
I suppose so. So this is kind of funny, and this might spin off a side discussion. We might get lost in the sauce here, but hey,
That's all right. That's what this is all about.
Right. So 4th of July weekend, I get Monday off, so I went ahead and went out to Colorado. It was like a 6.5-hour drive. Met up with a friend there, and we did some overlanding, you know, in the national grasslands, which was really, really cool. And I'll send you a picture just to kind of show what all that was about. I'll just text it to you. I might have already shared it with you, but it was freaking awesome, man. It was really, really cool, and it was like, it feels like out there, it's one of those deals where it's kind of the final frontier, you know? There's not many people out that way because there's not many trees or water or anything out that way either.
Yeah.
So it was a really neat experience. We drove in at dark. You know, we had to get there pretty late and stayed up and watched the stars. You know, pitch camp in the dark, sat out some chairs, drank a little, watched the stars. It was really, really cool, and
Nice.
it was so perfect out. We could see the Milky Way with the naked eye. It was a really cool experience. And then we did that, and there was no wind, none, no trees, and it was just like very mild hill country, right? Not like too many crazy mountains or anything. It was just real, like it was like Midwest territory, just nothing but grasslands. That's why they call it the National Grasslands, right? It's the Pawnee National Grasslands. No wind, no trees to hear your voice off of, no mountains to echo off of. And we gave it the old echo test, you know, hello, where you would usually hear hello, 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 you know, and it would echo. But we gave it the old echo test, and it was like screaming into a vacuum. It was some of the most wild camping I've ever done. It was a really, really neat experience. So that was really cool. And then day 2, handled some stuff when we packed up camp in the morning and moved to a secondary location. Had to go back into town to get a spare part for a fuel tank or something like that for the propane tank to get the stove working. But so the second
because what camping trip goes to plan? Yeah.
Right, Murphy's Law. So the second
Yeah.
spot, though, it was on this natural springs, and it was this beautiful view of these two buttes off in the distance. And we went swimming and had like a great old time, and it was like the most perfect campsite. And me and my buddy, and his buddy there, we've done like at least a lifetime's worth of camping between the three of us. It's quite a bit of camping, and we all agreed that this was the most perfect spot we've ever camped. Like, we gotta come back here, right? And lo and behold, because it had the spring and the view and some shade. It had some trees growing off of a creek coming off of the spring. It was wicked cool. And lo and behold, morning number two rolls around, after night number two, and a rancher rolls up in a side by side and tells us to get the fuck off his property.
Of course.
And my buddy starts arguing with him and telling him how there's no signs. He's like, "There's no
Yeah.
signs. There's no signs." He's like, "Yeah, there's signs. They're way out, way out that way." He's like, "Where are they?" And he pointed that direction. And he said, "They're out there, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Well, we came," and he was like, "Well, we came in the other way, and there were no signs. We were looking for signs. There's no signs." And it was just, oh, man, I'm like, dude, that's how you get punched in the teeth. We're way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
This rancher's about to step out of that side by side and go to work on you.
Yeah.
so, so what do you think about that? Should there be signs? Do you have the obligation to put up your signs? If you live in a national forest area, I mean, it is his property, right? So,
Yeah.
and it was pretty. It wasn't like obvious. It was we crossed a cattle guard, but there was no like solid gate or anything like that. It was nothing abnormal for the area. We assumed we were on national forest land.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when you're by the national forest, it's always nice to have some signs up and be polite about it. But end of the day, it's his property. It's got
yeah,
every right to kick you
yeah,
out.
that's true. That's true. I don't know, man. I'd be putting up signs for sure, but I would
Yeah.
also have a gate for sure because people don't respect signs all the time either. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's
I
like
mean,
a monthly occurrence for this dude, right?
yeah.
But I told him, sorry, we're already packing up. We'll get out of your hair here shortly. He said, all right, cool. And I was like, have a good one. He said, you too. And he left. And I was like, dude, you're gonna argue with this man, and he's gonna come back and stand here with a shotgun and supervise the cleanup effort here until we get the hell out of here.
Yep.
It's like, dude, what is wrong with you? Oh man. So that was pretty interesting. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Small town justice is what I was kind of worried about. Is like, dude could do whatever the hell he wanted to.
Yeah.
Way out there. He probably goes to church with the sheriff.
No one's gonna blink
Uh,
twice. A couple out of towners.
yeah, exactly. A couple of bullet holes in the side of our car, and that's that. We'll get the hell out of there real quick.
Yeah.
But so kind of a crying shame that it was that nice of a spot and it was too good to be true. But
And it was.
the blessing was we did get to at least do some camping, and we were already on the way out by the time he showed up. So
Yeah.
yeah, so pretty cool experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Sounds like a good trip.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We slow cooked some ribs, and
Mm.
for like 4 or 5 hours, and like my friend, he knows how to cook some ribs. It was really good. They were like you could pull the bone straight out of the ribs. If you tried to pick it up by the bone and just wiggle it a little bit, it'd fall right off the meat.
I know that's how you know they're good.
Oh yeah, it was phenomenal. And we did some veggies with it and stuff, and it was just great. It was a great time. And we had two dogs with us, so it was a really fun time.
Nice.
Yep.
Sounds like a good trip. Yeah. I unfortunately did nothing quite so interesting for my vacation.
No, did you get the day off on Monday at least?
I did, yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good.
I took a 3-day weekend, but it's all quiet around here.
Well, good.
Got caught up on some chores, Nothing
Hey
nothing fun
man,
and exciting.
nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got to have a 0 day every now and again. I just got one the
Yeah.
other day, so that was really nice.
But the one thing I did get to have on the 4th of July was a couple of good drinks. And so that's what kind of led me to thinking about tonight's topic here.
Okay. Good segue.
Because
Good segue.
I try, gotta do it nice and smooth there.
We had some good ones. My buddy, he knew how to whip up something. He took this like passion fruit rum with him, and that's we were sipping on some of that mixed in with some tea and then something else. And it was really good. It was like tea, lemonade, and passion rum or something like that. Passion fruit rum. It was good stuff. I downed like two or three of those. That was like it was like drinking candy. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the sweet stuff's always nice, but it gives me such a hangover.
yeah, I'm not usually a fruity kind of guy usually, so that was
Yeah.
surprising for me to like that much. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll drink it, but not my normal go-to. So,
Yeah. Not mine either, but what's good's good.
right?
That's that's something I've been getting more into whiskeys lately, and that's the popular motto of one of the big whiskey channels out there on YouTube.
Yeah,
So, the best drink is what you like to drink the way you like to drink it.
right.
As long as it's good,
What do you
doesn't
think about
matter.
all these companies moving into the seltzer kind of fizzy drink area as far as alcohol goes? I saw in the grocery store the other day, Corona is coming out with like a Corona seltzer or something like
Yeah.
that. It's like a
Bud's already
raspberry
got
flavored
one.
or something.
Who else has them now?
Well,
There was another company that I didn't recognize as
who's the
well.
big one that kicked it off? AK Daddy
Uh,
shoots them all the time.
there's White Claw. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So ever since White Claw became big, I think everybody else is trying to get into that game. You know?
Yep. And I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? They're easy to drink, kind of low alcohol content. Like you said, they're fruity, they're light.
Yeah,
It's and they're good for summer too. Well, and all that type of stuff. The seltzers, the hard lemonades. They're good summer drinks. Refreshing.
yeah, they're good. I like them. You know, well enough. I don't like sodas and like that carbonated feel that you get,
Yeah.
but you can't deny that a good like grape soda tasting thing that's alcoholic is gonna be, it's like taking you to an adult childhood almost. It's so
Yep.
good. It's so good.
And I think that's part of it too. It's like a lot of and people don't like to admit it, especially alcohol snobs, but a lot of what drives the tastes and what's being created that's new is the bar scene and the college scene, right? So it's like whatever's popular with people at clubs and bars, young adults. That's going to be what people are making more of, and what people are trying to try new ideas, try new recipes. So I think that's why you're seeing a lot of companies get into hard seltzers and things like that, because that's where the money is.
Yeah, that's the biggest market for sure because young people do most of the drinking, especially really heavily in those kind of spring breaky areas and times and stuff like that. You
Exactly.
just drink like a fucking fish and you spend all your
Yeah.
paycheck on it. Uh, I've still got that caramel garbage that I tried.
Uh,
I can't,
yeah.
dude, I can't pour that down the drain. Uh,
Yeah. You want to explain to the viewers what you're on about?
I went and got some caramel whiskey because I was going for some flavored stuff. I like the honey flavored whiskey, honey jack and all that really really well, and I know that's a flavored one. So I went for like a caramel whiskey because I like the mistake number one. I like the label. and so and it turned out to just be this overpowering garbage. You can't mix it with nothing. Like it just ruins every drink you put it in, and it just tastes weird. How would you describe it? You had some,
It's a very cloyingly sweet kind of taste. It's not like you said, it doesn't mix particularly well with anything.
Yeah, it was weird. It goes okay with like a mint kind of drink, caramel mint, but it's still super overpowering. And it's not like
Yeah,
the right hint of caramel to whiskey. It's too much caramel, not enough whiskey.
that's fair. So that's a pretty accurate description.
Way too much caramel.
Yeah.
So what'd you discover there, bud?
Well, so as for me, I was in kind of a similar boat. I was drinking a lot of stuff that, well, and I'll be honest, at the end of the day, really what it was a calorie cutting measure because I tended to drink a lot of stuff, like fruity stuff with a lot of sugar in it. Um, flavored stuff, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And so I was looking for a good way to cut down some of the calories. And so I started looking at more classic cocktail options because normally, at worst, you're getting a little bit of simple syrup, but nothing, no soda with high fructose corn syrup or anything like that. Um, so I've been kind of trying my hand at some basic whiskey cocktails. So I ended up drinking Manhattans on the fourth, and I've got the stuff for a lot of the basic kind of whiskey cocktails. Old fashions, whiskey sours, that sort of thing. I've been kind of working my way through the recipe book, trying different things, figure out what I like.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I started getting into beer a little more, and then I realized just how like caloric and heavy beer is on you.
Yeah,
And for the drinking, whiskey is cheaper caloric, wise, calorie wise.
yeah.
I think it's cheaper drink per drink wise too. If you do a bottle breakdown, you get a lot more drinks out of a whiskey
Oh,
bottle
for
than you
sure,
do a pack of beer.
for sure. That's also why it's pricier in most cases, but
Yeah, but it makes sense. It's like buying, it's like diesel versus gasoline. Diesel will get you a hell of a lot further down the road, and so per mile, your cost goes down, even though per gallon your cost goes up. It's more
yep.
efficient. Whiskey is a
Oh,
more efficient way to drink, we'll say.
yep, and that's you talk about that, but that's also why. So I initially started out drinking pretty high proof liquor. I started with some rums and kind of graduated towards whiskeys, but like you say, that percent alcohol by volume will get you a lot further. So
Yeah, for sure. For
that's what
sure.
kind of led me on this path in the first place. But what I really discovered, and you and I were drinking it, it's um, I've really kind of taken to rye whiskeys in particular, and I've tried a couple of the major brands now, and I'm really kind of starting to develop a taste for it. Even just cocktails or neat pours or what have you. Uh, I was surprised how economical, because you hear a lot about the different major whiskey brands, right? You get your Irish, like your Jamesons and stuff like that, and your Canadian, your Crown Royal, and then you've got stuff like Jack Daniels and that. But I was surprised how reasonable good bottles of whiskey are if you know what to look for and you kind of know your price points and that. Like you can get really good, name brand whiskey that's not from a major distillery like that for pretty reasonable prices.
Yeah, it seems to be that it's like it's a simpler thing to make good whiskey. And if you overcomplicate it and make the process, further removed than what whiskey is, it makes it just too much more expensive, and there's a lot more marketing put into it and too much
Yep.
thought, and it just goes down the drain quick.
I think that's the biggest problem is like names and branding and stuff like that, right? Like everybody knows Jack Daniels, and that's why you can, and obviously prices vary depending heavily on where you are. So I'll say like I think it's a 750 milliliter at a standard bottle of Jack around here goes for like $35 or something like that. Jack Daniels is not great whiskey, right? You can find something much better in that price range, but because everyone knows Jack, it's able to command that price point. So you got to kind of do some reading, do some research, and find flavors that you like if you want to get something at a good rate.
Yeah, I like Jack Daniels. It's all right. Jack Daniels is kind of like it's almost like I don't want to call it the golden standard, but it's
I certainly wouldn't.
definitely the standard to compare to. I would
Yeah,
say I gotta say Jim Beam makes a better whiskey. Jim Beam makes a better whiskey than Jack Daniels, but it's a little bit more expensive as well. And Jim Beam's got kind of a classier reputation, where Jack is just in every single bar in America. Um, I don't know. Yeah. You're definitely onto something when it comes to the price point not having to be high for good whiskey.
yeah.
And I think that's a
Especially, go ahead. Sorry, finish your thought.
that's a smart thing to do on a marketing standpoint, because if you have a smaller name and you're trying to build it up, you definitely need to sell your product for a little less, build a reputation that it's good, and then who knows, maybe once you're in more demand one day, you can charge a little more per bottle. But you find some really really good stuff. What was that stuff you had me Well, you didn't have me get, but I got you as a parting gift when I left.
Oh, right. And so this is something interesting that I was going to bring up. Know what's going into your bottles. So what Sam's talking about, it's a rye whiskey, and it's actually what kind of got me started down the path of discovering
It's
rye
really
whiskey and
good.
cocktails. Yeah, it's called Redemption, and it's from a small bottler. But really, what's in the bottle is just a MGP product. So MGP, for those of you that don't know, it's Midwestern Grain Products. They're the largest distiller in the United States, and so they distill a whole bunch of whiskey. Companies buy it and bottle it. So, like for example, the
So you're
product
mostly
that's
getting it
in
from the source.
yeah. So basically, what a lot of companies do, because they don't have time. If you want to stand up a whiskey brand, you don't have 5 years to wait for your whiskey to age. So you buy from a major distiller like MGP or Brown Forman or something like that, and then you might finish it or blend it or just bottle it, and then you can sell it. Yeah,
That's where the caramel crap probably came from. They were like, let's get some of
exactly.
that and just dump just sugar and caramel into it. Let's ruin this aged whiskey that somebody's already perfected.
Yep, that's exactly how it works. But so this particular brand, Redemption, it's pretty much just a standard MGP product in a bottle, and you can find a similar one. Bullet they have a rye whiskey that is also an MGP product. I don't remember. I don't believe it's finished or anything. So it's essentially the same product, but Redemption is $10 a bottle less because if you're buying Bullet, you're paying for the Bullet name. They're famous for their bourbon.
Is that the same as the silver bullet? Is that where that comes from?
No, it's here. I'll show you the product here. I'll send it over to you. Um, but all Bullet is really, in most cases, they have. I believe now they've started to kind of invest in some of their own product lines. They've got some more aged alcohols and things like that they do themselves. But the majority of their standard lineup is all still just MGP products. Here you go. I'll send that over to you so you can take a look at it.
You ain't gonna help me taste it, so what good's looking at
Yep.
it, dude? I guess I'll know how much it costs though.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, that you've tasted it before. Their rye whiskey is pretty much the same.
Oh, okay, cool.
So know what's going into your bottles because, like I said, that's a $10 price difference right there for the same size bottle. So be smart when you're buying and know what you're getting. And if you find something you like, see if you can branch out and find similar stuff. Drinking's a fun hobby, and it doesn't have to break the bank.
If
Just
done
got to be a
well.
little bit thoughtful about it.
Yeah, if done well, for sure, for sure. Oh shoot, we started early. We started way early. We're supposed to be starting right now.
Yeah,
That's all right.
that's all right.
We'll get a long one out
We'll
of it.
end a little bit early.
Or we'll get a long one out of it. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Man, I gotta get me a good bottle of something. Cause like
Yeah.
I'm just drinking kitty crap all the time.
Yeah.
Do you think that plays in to your social status or your perception of you? Like, I don't know. Maybe we should add that to the list of the Swiss Army tools of man. Have at least one or two good whiskeys that you can refer somebody to.
Yep.
It's a good
Or
talking
whatever
point
you
for
like to
anything.
drink. You don't have to drink whiskey, right? But
Right.
it tends to have a lot of there's a lot of different whiskeys that you can try, and there's a lot of I think there's a whiskey for everyone if you're willing to look for it.
Yeah. Do you think it makes you a more interesting person to know a little bit about it?
Well, I'd say generally, sure. It's kind of the whole idea of the Renaissance man, right? Just enough about everything to form some sort of an opinion on it, and hold your own in casual conversation, right? I'm certainly no whiskey aficionado compared to a lot of people, but I know just enough to have a conversation, order a drink at a bar.
Yeah. You got me into some trouble for a little while there. I was into it and just following it very closely and getting into it on like my YouTube consumption and stuff like that was all whiskey related content and that How to Drink channel. He's really good. I like him.
Ah, yes, Greg from How to Drink.
Yeah, he
For
does
those of
good
you that
stuff.
don't know him, he does some great. He's actually who got me started mixing cocktails, but he does some great adult beverage related content, and I believe he has
His
some gaming and some other content
his
as well.
show is just so good. He's got this like old 1920s music going on in the background. It's this log cabin kind of feel, and he wears this red flannel in every episode. I think he's got like a deer head hanging on the in the backdrop in most of his shows, and he's got a nice gristly beard. He's definitely not that kind of personality to begin with, but the show puts off that vibe, and it's just such a satisfying show to watch. So, when I was getting into it on YouTube, did you ever have you ever heard of this thing called an infinity bottle?
I don't think so.
So it's where
Tell
you
me about it and I'll let you know.
so it's where you and you don't want to mix your types when you do this, but so it's where you're trying different whiskeys every now and again, and you get down to that last little bit in the bottle, right? That last like quarter inch, maybe half an inch or an inch of in the bottom of the bottle. So you got to pick a bottle that you like, a pretty bottle that you like looking at. It doesn't have to be super super fancy, but the cooler the bottle, the cooler it is. Because what you're going to do with it is when you get down to that last little bit, you save it, and then you go out, you get your new whiskey, you try something different, and then when you get down to that last little bit, you mix it into the cooler looking bottle. And so you're mixing whiskeys, and then eventually you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different blends of whiskeys that are all just mishing, matching, and playing nice with each other in the bottle, hopefully. But you can't put crap in it like that caramel stuff, that flavored stuff
Yeah, you got to
will
be
just
careful
kill
with
the
it.
whole bottle, right? So,
Yeah.
but like a rye whiskey, you could build a rye whiskey infinity bottle. And so the idea is that it never gets empty because you're
Right.
constantly just adding the tail end of your newer bottles to it. So it's an infinitely filled bottle, and you only pull it out on like special occasions or when you're going to add to the bottle.
Huh.
So pretty cool concept, right? It's almost like
Yeah, it
it's
makes
like
sense.
your own collector's edition of just a whole bunch of blends of whiskeys. I definitely want to try that for sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Definitely an interesting idea.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing when figuring out what you like to drink is to just try a lot of stuff, right? And I know it can be expensive to do that. Believe me, my wallet cries every time I visit the bottle shop. But just you got to kind of see what's out there, see what you like, and never hesitate to try something based on somebody's recommendation. The two of you may not have the same palate, right? But it might still point you in the right direction. And at the very worst, you know what you don't like. But it can be certainly an interesting journey.
It's I like it. That's for sure. Whiskey's all
Yeah,
right. Whiskey's all right. What about other drinks? You like rum? I'm
I
a
do.
whiskey kind of guy. You had this weird freaking moonshine that smelled like pomegranate cum for the longest
Oh, that one. I
time.
had forgotten about that. I do drink a fair bit of shine. That was something interesting. That
Was
was a
that the White
flavored
Lightning?
moonshine. No, no, no. I still have some white lightning. So basically, what Sam is referring to is a bottle of, I believe that was Appalachian Distillery products, and it was a fruit flavored moonshine. I forget the fruit that it was flavored with,
Was
though.
it a passion fruit or was it like a
Mm,
pomegranate or something?
Neither. It was something odd. Um, Not dragon fruit.
I
Pawpaw fruit. That's what it
Pawpaw
was.
fruit. That's it. Yep.
Yep.
I knew it started with
And
a P.
yep, that was barely drinkable. Sometimes you get a lemon, and I do tend to like moonshine because I mean it's corn liquor. Um, Not all that dissimilar to vodka, but not quite as clean tasting. It's a bit more cloying and heavy, at least if you get an original flavor. White Lightning is similar to, more similar to Everclear.
And that's
It's just a
moonshine.
pure grain spirit at a higher proof, but not. It's not overproofed like Everclear. Normally, most of the moonshine that you buy in stores will be at a somewhat reasonable proof, 90 to 110 or so.
Dude, I know nothing, like, comparatively. I don't know enough about alcohol. And I try not to, because the more you, like, learn about it, the more you'll drink. And,
Eh,
yeah, I don't know. I try to, I'll get into it every now and again, but I try to dig myself out of that hole every now and again, too. It's just the way it goes. You juggle your
Gotta live
hobbies.
Yeah.
It seems like you're trying to get back into it a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm going to be going and picking up another bottle. I killed one over the 4th of July here, so I'll report back on my findings. I think I'm going to get another rye this time. Probably a Brown Foreman product that I have yet to try.
I think I'm definitely going to try some rye too. So in all my research, I heard of this one place. I think it's like out in like New Mexico or something like that, maybe somewhere in Nevada. And it's this liquor store. I think it's outside of Vegas or something like that. And it's this woman that owns a liquor store, and she lets you try a little bit of anything that's on the shelf. Literally, like you can taste it before you take it home. Isn't
Yep,
that like that's the way to go? It's like
it
how
really
the
is.
hell am I gonna know if it's any good without spending the money on the entire bottle? Because what you
Yeah,
got to do is you got to like know somebody that had tried some and then recommended it to you, and you tasted it at their place, and then you go and buy a bottle. You share that with others, and da 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 da.
yeah,
It's a social experience. So, or ideally it is. It just seems so wasteful to spend like $25 on some caramel garbage that it's going to sit on the shelf for a year or two before you can even get rid of it. And I don't want to just buy another bottle of whiskey because then it'll just sit there and collect dust forever.
yeah.
What do you think about
Yeah,
pouring it down the drain?
I am not one to waste liquor. I'll drink damn near anything. I mean, I finished that bottle of moonshine. And
Yeah.
that, I mean, you couldn't even mix that with anything. I tried fruit juice,
You
soda. It
tried
still
a
tasted
lot.
awful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a weird smelling drink, that's for sure.
yeah.
I think
But
that's like half the drink is what it smells like too. I wish most places would at least let you smell it, but they can't crack the seal for you.
yeah. And you did bring up an interesting point there. It's like, sometimes you don't feel like shelling out for a whole bottle, and maybe you don't know anyone who's into the same type spirits. Maybe nobody has the bottle you're looking for, et cetera, et cetera. One of the other options that you can do, depending on your budgets, is you can go to a bar and try neat pours, or you can try and attend a tasting. A lot of, for example, if you're into bourbon, you can go to Louisville, Kentucky, and there are literally a dozen distilleries within a few miles of each other. And you can go and have a little tasting and try each of their different products, see what you like, what you don't. But
You can always get those little travel size bottles too that they get on airplanes. Those are
yeah,
cheap way to try them as well, if they
yeah, that is
have them.
another option.
Yeah, if they
That's
have
it.
them, and they usually do.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of the problem is as you start to go down into some of the more obscure
they don't do
alcohols.
that.
Yeah, once you start getting away from your big names, it can be harder to find things like that. But for me, as we just discussed, no bottles of waste. I'll drink damn near anything.
You're an
But
animal.
yeah, if you're not quite so adventurous, you may want to be a little bit more careful in your selection.
Yeah, I know I'm gonna be a little more cautious this next go around. Maybe ask somebody for a recommendation or something like that. Talk to the guy behind the counter at the very least.
Yeah,
But that's the thing is like half the time those guys behind the counter aren't really all that into whiskey. You just get
yeah,
the guys that are just drinking bud on the weekend.
yeah, and that is a problem. And some places you go to will be more knowledgeable than others. I will say,
Like that Total Wine, yeah, they got
yeah,
somebody that knows something about every aisle.
yeah.
Yeah.
But don't be fooled. Some people, only know what they like, and some people, you know, you got to bear in mind that whoever you talk to at a whiskey store or a bar or whatever, right? They're there to ultimately sell you a product. So keep that in the back of your head, right? Maybe if they're offering you, a $50 neat pour, reconsider. But for the most part, people are generally pretty helpful when you're getting into the hobby. They'll have some good advice for you.
Yep. Yep. For sure. For sure. If you had to take one camping for a weekend, what would you take in your flask? Or are you going flask or are you going glass? Do you think the flask
Flask.
taste change? Do you think it changes the taste of it at all? A
It
flask?
certainly can, especially if you get metal flasks, and especially if you let it sit for a little while. Definitely.
Do you get that kind
Um,
of a tinny taste to it or what?
yeah. And yeah, it depends on the flask. You won't get that as much with modern like aluminum flasks as you will with old stainless steel ones, right?
Right.
Or copper. But I personally have a plastic flask that I use, and it works well enough. They're easy to clean too. dishwasher safe, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm a lazy fucker, so
Oh, that's right. You got that Nalgene looking flask that you like
I do.
using. Yeah, that's a
I do
weird
indeed.
one. I'd have
Yep.
to go metal flask if I was gonna go flask.
Yeah, and it's a little large. I mean, it is Sam's correct. It's an Algene flask, and it's made for camping, so it's dishwasher safe, all that, and it's pretty large for a flask. I think it holds. Oh man, I want to say it holds almost a full bottle. I think it's a 750 milliliter flask.
It's a lot.
So yeah, it's more than enough to get you into trouble.
Yeah.
But
That's
like
an
that.
understatement. So if you had to pick one brand right now to go camping, what would you pick?
Let's see. It would
And your share,
probably
and your share.
yeah.
You share, share around the campfire.
And see, that's the tricky bit. A lot of people do not like the taste of rye, so I would probably opt for either a bourbon
I don't
or
know,
like
man. I
Canadian
think
or
you can
Irish
get people to
whiskey.
try some weird things when they're camping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's a good opportunity for people to try a little different.
yeah. I don't know. If I had to pick something off the top of my head, it'd probably be something safe. A Maker's Mark, maybe, or some. I don't know. I'd say Jameson because Jameson's nice and cheap too, so you don't have to worry. Like if you pour somebody a little bit and they immediately proceed to spit it all over the place, you're not so worried about it. But
Fuel for the
Jameson's
fire.
nice and cheap for that. Yeah. But not everyone likes the taste of Irish whiskey. I definitely wouldn't go for something wild like Scotch or moonshine or something like that. Um, oh, there is another one. There's a product. I believe it's called Sweet Corn is the name of it. It's a really cheap little bottle, and well, it's what it says. It's a sweet corn whiskey, um, barely aged at all. But it's just a kind of nice, light, sweet finish. Nothing too heavy. It's good for sipping. You can sip it neat. It's got a lower proof. I'd probably go with that. Yeah, if I had to pick one, sweet corn. That's my
Sweet
final
corn.
answer.
Sweet corn sounds good. That sounds like a good friendly one, especially if you get some ladies in the group. It's got a name friendly enough that most, and I'm just totally generalizing here, but most ladies like the sweeter drinks.
Yeah,
Um, I I'd probably go with that. I would go with a rye. I would definitely go with a rye. Yeah, because it's got that smoky kind of campfire. It fits in this situation. It fits well, especially if it's a little cold out. Um, and like I said, I think you can get people to try. They're more receptive to try different things when they're camping. I don't know what it is, but everything tastes better when you're camping. Like for
that's
instance,
true.
I'll eat tuna when I'm camping. I won't eat tuna anywhere else.
Yeah.
Only when I'm in the woods. So, you got any weird things
Minor,
like that?
huh?
You got any weird ones like that? Like you'll only eat it when you're camping?
My father and I both do. His is peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yep.
He ate them all the time as a kid, and so now the only time he'll eat them is backpacking. Mine is Vienna sausages.
Oh, Vienna
Yep.
sausages, dude. I haven't had those since I was a kid, and then I tried them again at about like 22 or 23.
Yeah.
I damn near puked. They're terrible. Just don't eat them. Don't eat them
When
unless you're
backpacking,
backpacking.
I will eat them
Yeah,
cold, straight out of the can.
that's what you're supposed to do. You eat them cold out of the can. There's no other way. But just
Well,
not at home, bro. Not at home at all.
see, when you're backpacking, you can sharpen up a stick and fry them over the fire like hot dogs.
I mean, I guess you could.
They
Yeah.
actually turn out pretty good. They got a high fat content and they get a nice crispy kind of char on the edges of them. They're really good like that. But
They used to
I'll eat them
make
straight
one.
out of the
They
can.
used to make one where they would do the Vienna sausages in beans, in
Huh.
just baked beans. Are they baked beans? They're really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, they're really really good. They were good as a kid at least, and they came in these little snack packages and stuff. I'd eat them at my grandparents' house all the time. But as an adult, I don't think I could stomach it. I can't do hot dogs like that anymore. The
Yeah.
boiled kind of hot dog. No, if you're gonna do a hot dog, it has to be grilled. It
Yeah.
has to be
And you might as well get
well
some
done.
nice ones. Get some beef hot dogs or something like that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. None of the cheap shit.
Yeah. What's your favorite backpacking meal of all time?
Let's see. That's That's an interesting question. So, are we talking? Because I got to distinguish here. I've done it both ways. Are we talking like campfire cooking or lightweight backpack and eating out of
You're
a
going
freeze
on a
dried
weekend
pack?
backpacking trip, give me both. Give me both. Give me your more creative option and then your favorite, mountain house type meal.
Yeah. Okay. So the simple one, the easy one to go with is definitely the Mountain House beef stroganoff. That is damn good. I'd eat that at home.
I'm
Like,
going
yeah,
chili
we.
mac all the way.
Oh, the beans though.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, chili
No.
mac. I picked one of them
Especially.
bad boys up for this last trip as a backup, and I didn't eat it, but I'm looking forward to the next time I go backpacking with that one.
You can't do that.
That was a
Not at
good
all.
one.
Yeah. What else? If I had to go with like a regular, I was cooking on the campfire or something like that. What's something I've done? Um.
So,
Ooh.
so
That's.
right along those lines. So,
Hmm.
I saw a YouTube video. I think Dan Becker put it out recently. You know him on YouTube?
Nah.
Well, he got a hold of this guy that's a professional chef. Dan Becker's a really big backpacking YouTuber. You can look up his channel, Dan Becker. And he got a hold of this chef who is into backpacking, and he made a really good point about certain foods will actually keep in certain climates for a good long while, 3 or 4 days at the very minimum, with
Oh yeah.
little to no refrigeration, especially at high altitude like that. Um, and this guy made beef stroganoff on the go with actual, like, real mushrooms and like real beef bouillon cubes and real onions and peppers and stuff and all that, and oh man, it looked so good. And he just DIY'd that right there on the side of the trail for lunch.
Yeah.
It was really really good. And then they made like a vegetable pad thai on the trail as well. And this was really cool. So for the beef stroganoff, what he did was, for the beef, what is dehydrated beef? It's beef jerky, right?
Yeah.
So he just rehydrated it and boiled it in with his beef stroganoff, and it turned out good. Oh,
Yep.
no kidding. I've got to try stuff like that. I want to
I've
do
actually seen something similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to do more actual cooking out of my backpack on the trail, and I want to bring more fresh fruit that first day or two.
Yeah.
That's a big thing too.
Another easy thing that you can do, and this was something I saw a popular through hiker. She's Triple Crowner, and I can't think of her name now. It totally escapes me.
Is it?
But
Oh, I think I know her. Is she from Alabama? Homemade
something like that. Yeah.
Wanderlust.
Yeah, that might have been her.
Homemade Wanderlust. What's her name? Uh, Dixie.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might be
Her
it. I don't know. It's been
YouTube
so
channel
long.
is Homemade Wanderlust. Skinny gal, blonde, a little older than us.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Anyway, um,
She just finished.
one of
She just finished the Florida Trail. The whole Florida
which one?
Trail.
The like oh straight.
Yeah, it goes all the way from the bottom of Florida. What are they? What's the lowest point in Florida? Whatever that is.
No
Closest
idea.
to Cuba. Well, she went from the bottom tip of Florida all the way up through the entire Panhandle, and it was like 700 or 800 miles or something like that. It might have crossed the 1,000 mile mark. It was quite a bit. It was a
That's
very
quite the hike.
unique looking experience for her. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, regardless, I think it might have been her, but she bought a cheap dehydrator and then would
Yeah,
dehydrate her own vegetables and things like that, right? And then, like you said, you just rehydrate them on the trail, and you can do all sorts of fun stuff with that. Mushrooms and
a lot of
peas and
people make
carrots
that
and
investment before doing a big hike like the AT or something like that, because they can just have
yeah,
them sent, as mail packages wherever they need them to go.
yeah, and it'll keep for a lot longer, and it's lightweight, and you can have more fresh, quote unquote, food on the trail.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
control what's going into your body a lot more, and you feel better about it. That's for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you can dehydrate all sorts of fun and interesting things. I'll definitely be interested to see what home cooks come up with. I think possibly the best one I've ever seen. I forget if it was stuffing or cornbread, but somebody basically was going to do a stew, and so like you described, they did dehydrated salted beef, and then they did I think it was cornbread. They dehydrated the cornbread and basically made like kind of cornmeal crackers. But then when you poured the stew liquid into them, it rehydrated them and gave them a bit more life.
Yeah, it'd be
Mm.
pretty. That would be so good. I want
Yeah.
like a man. I gotta figure out how to do a dehydrated like breakfast casserole. That'd be so
Yeah.
good.
Miracles of modern food science.
Yeah. Man, when I get a house, I might just get a dehydrator if I remember this here conversation right
Yeah.
now. Just for that very purpose. Use it twice a year, put it away.
Yeah.
Kind of worth it, you know.
Yeah, and they're not too bad these days. You can get a pretty cheap one, like under $100.
I mean, how long do they keep too? You know, if they keep for like 10 years or something like that, that's good for prepping too.
Yeah. Yeah, more than pay itself off.
Yeah.
I know one of the other couples I watch in Alaska, they have one, and it's going on 5, 6 years. They swear by it.
Yeah, they do a food cellar too, so I'm sure they're putting most of that dehydrated shit in the food cellar too.
Yeah,
I would.
keep for ages.
Yeah. Man, so what would you pair with your beef stroganoff there?
Oh, right, right. Probably either. I'm thinking back to like all the good trail recipes I've had. Um, Two of my all go-to favorites are pasta, normally like a homemade mac and cheese. Do it in out there because it's nice and simple and easy, and it just tastes so good and it's nice and filling, and it'll keep for a couple days too. Cheese, it does need to be refrigerated, but the harder the cheese, the longer it'll last. And you can get like a hard cheddar that'll go 5, 6 days
Oh, I'll do
sometimes.
Italian cheese or Italian sausages and cheese all day long. You know, some salami and
Yeah,
cheese. That'll keep for 3 days.
yeah, easy. So either that or another one that I've done before that's great is and you can only really do this one, in overnighters and stuff like that. But you either do silver turtles or like a steak and potatoes, where you do the foil wrap. Yeah, you foil wrap them and then you cook them on the bed of coals. So a silver turtle, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, is it's basically ground beef, like a hamburger meat, and spices, and then potatoes, carrots, some onions, some vegetables,
I think that the
all wrapped up in
potatoes,
a foil packet.
I think the
Hmm?
potatoes for sure are what make it a
Yeah.
silver turtle. You can't have a silver turtle without potatoes.
And if you've never had foil wrapped potatoes slow cooked over coals, you are missing out on life. I tell you.
Yep, it's pretty good.
Nothing quite compares. It's a unique kind of smoky flavor to it. It's delicious.
Mm, man, making me hungry. That's for sure.
Yeah. So those two are my favorites. What about you? What's your go-to
Oh, I don't know.
deluxe trail meal?
Usually I just go with the meal straight up, and I try to do kind of a complex meal. I just go for those easy stroganoffs right off the shelf, and just try and add some crackers or something with it, something that pairs well. Some summer sausages and cheese maybe. What I meant was, what would you pair with your beef stroganoff alcohol wise? What flask are you? What are you
Oh,
bringing in the flask to go with that beef stroganoff?
well, if
It's
I'm just drinking
it's
for
night
myself,
number
then I'm
two. You've just hiked like 10 miles, 40-pound pack. What do you want?
if I'm just drinking for myself, then I'm either bringing a rye whiskey, probably Rittenhouse, just because that's what I've got around right now, or a classic moonshine, like an old smoky original flavor. Be one
Yeah.
of those two for
If I
sure.
was going to make a stroganoff at home, though, man, that is one meal that I might have with a dark lager.
Yeah,
I don't usually like the dark stuff, but that would do it justice for sure.
yeah. If I was eating stroganoff in particular, like at home, I'd probably go with a red wine, and I'm not a big wine guy, but every now and then.
Oh, I'm fixing to be a wine guy. I'm trying to get my fiance camping when she gets out here. so so that's the way to make women like camping is bring lots of pillows and cushy blankets and plenty of wine. And if you got a freezer, if you got a cooler cold enough, slap some ice cream in that bitch. She's gonna be a happy camper.
There you go.
she'll like the outdoors if you can bring the wine.
Life lessons.
Yep, yep. So all right. Well,
There you go.
food, and camping. I think
Yeah,
we kind of tied that one together real well, didn't we? Came full
yeah,
circle there.
yeah.
Full
Pretty
circle.
well.
All right. Well, uh, you want to end it there?
Yeah, I think so. All this talking's made me hungry. I gotta
Yep.
go get some supper myself.
Yep. Yep. Same here. All right. Well,
All right.
thanks for tuning in, all of you folks out there. Uh, um, and just don't forget to like the video if you liked it. We're not really after too much growth, but if you care to and you liked it, share it with a friend. You know, it's real easy. Copy the link, share it with one friend. Just text it to them, Facebook Messenger, whatever you got to do. And try tuning in on Tuesdays. We're going to be doing this at, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard for the most part.
Yeah, probably
Maybe,
thereabouts.
maybe a little earlier, a little later, maybe a little forwards, maybe a little less. So
Never know.
yep, somewhere around there. We'll try to keep it pretty consistent. And subscribe, hit that little notification bell so you can see when we go live if we're early or late. And keep moving forwards. Or
Take care, everyone.
yep, a little bit less. All right, have a good one. And we have ended.